Like, don't swallow it like a meatball, and don't like.
All right.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna get copyright strikes.
No, because I'm singing it so bad. It's not happening. Hello, everyone. My name is Andy.
I'm Nick.
I'm Alfonso.
And this is the Butt Buddies podcast.
Ooh.
So, Nick, it's the first time you're on the podcast.
Yeah, probably the first of a couple faces to come on, but I think it'll be good. Maybe one day we'll be able to get everyone here, but first time we're doing some sort of podcast, so we'll see how it goes.
Huh?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We're going to try to rotate more people coming in and out of this group. So, yeah, hopefully we get to see more of you and more of everyone else.
We'll see how the first one goes.
Yeah, but today I kind of wanted to have kind of a nostalgic trip and kind of talk about old middle school trends.
I just want to say, first off, before we start the whole topic on middle school, I think we can all agree that middle school is probably like the worst part of everyone's life so far.
The thing is that's what they say, but I feel like middle school wasn't that bad for me.
Really?
I just remember getting scoop slammed in the middle of the hallway because I was 5 foot and very large. And
At this
bullied.
point, middle school is what, 15 years ago? Is it that much?
Yeah, pretty much.
15 years?
12, 15?
Maybe 12 or 13.
Yeah.
It's more like 13.
But it's been a
Wow.
decade since already.
That's insane to think about it.
So,
It's madness.
yeah. I mean, do you guys remember some weird trends during middle school?
I think middle school was just a weird period, just in general. Everyone is kind of like starting to become themselves, but they're like, can I be myself? No. Do I have to be everybody else? You know, you have no idea like the level of expression that you should give everybody, right? Show to the world. But there were definitely some questionable things that us as middle schoolers we all did.
Did you guys have braces?
No.
I did not, thankfully.
No.
Damn,
Braces,
only me. Because I feel like braces are very typical for...
Very typical middle
Middle
school phase. You were like, yeah, I've got braces. I'm trying to fix my teeth now, so I only got to do it later.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that like really stuck. I don't think this is middle school, but I think it is. Do you guys remember silly bands?
Man, I was
Yes.
going to talk about silly bands.
So that's the exact thing that I kind of... It sparked this whole topic.
Right.
Okay.
I saw silly bands and that like awakened this memory that I forgot I had. But I didn't actually have silly bands.
Really?
Like, the thing is, everyone else had them, and I maybe had like 2.
Bro, I remember how serious silly bands got. Like there was like
It was currency.
it was currency.
You could
It was
buy
like
and sell items for silly bands.
man's had there were kids that had fucking sleeves made from just silly bands because they had like a bunch of them, and they're on some CSU shit, my guy, because they were like, I know which ones are the real ones and the fake ones, and it was crazy. They're like, the real ones have crazy stretch, and if they don't stretch this far back, then they're not really real silly bands now. And I'm like, yikes.
Yeah, I think it was I don't think it was like super apparent, but you could definitely tell like the level of quality of some of them were better than others, right? Like I remember asking my mom to buy me like a package of them, and of course she got like the dollar store ones because it's like, why would you get anything else? And yeah, like the colors weren't as vibrant. I remember the shapes were like a little rough around the edges, but I think like it was just a piece of rubber that was in a shape. I don't know.
It was a rubber band that was just in a shape. That's all it was.
I remember very specifically there were like a couple shapes that were like coveted by all, right? Like there was one guy who literally had like one shaped as a gun, That's probably that one did not age too well, definitely. But I remember one guy had like one that was like shaped as a gun, and when he took it off and like showed everyone the shape, everyone was like, "Whoa, bro, you got the limited edition, whatever, you know." And so
you were also goated if you had the glow in the dark ones.
Oh, yeah, that
the
did
glow in the
exist.
dark. I forgot about those.
It would be movie time in middle school. Lights go off. People are glowing.
You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, man. Silly bands were crazy. One of those things that you look back and not as cringy as I thought it was gonna be. You know, like you look back at it now and it's like, all right, it's just like kind of kids being kids type of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
right. It's like, I don't know. I thought it would be like, I thought it would carry on a little longer than it did, but it only lasted like a year.
Yeah, it was less than it was literally a single school year.
Yeah.
Like it just came and
then
died,
wiped.
but it's such a strong part of our memories.
Yeah, it's very weird how like a much of an impression. I'm sure if you even like saw a Silly band on the floor to this day, you'd probably like pick it up and you'd have like a little nostalgia trip off of it. But yeah, I'm kind of happy that like they didn't stick around that long because it was kind of getting out of hand. I don't know about you guys, but I heard like stories of like people getting jumped for their silly bands. Yeah, I'm not even lying. People get jumped for their silly bands. You know, the dude with like the rare gun silly band, man, he had to watch his back, you know? But I don't know if you guys remember, they actually got banned after that happened.
They did. Yeah.
They got banned. So there were like some incidents that were happening. And then obviously like the teachers were throwing a fit because they're like, they can't focus on school. They're too focused on these bracelets, which by the way, as like a grown adult now, I'm like, really? Like that's the argument that we're going to bring up. So yeah, so they got like banned. And so I think that was another reason that like the next year, like when everyone came in the next September, it was just
no more.
Yeah, like not even a trace.
No, it was like gone with the wind kind of thing where it was just like donezo. That was like the craziest, or like not the craziest, but one of the ones that really stuck out as in my middle school time. Or like, I guess there was like the RaWr XD kids.
You,
me. Yeah, I mean that was like a period of time where it was like middle school. Like this was your life. Like you lived through. You're like. You hear the screaming, but I hear the meaning, and I'm like, ugh. Yeah. But yeah, I remember like kids are like wear these hideous like Asking Alexandria neon shirts.
Oh yeah.
Or like they're like it's like Reptar or some
just like the
disgusting thing, and I was like,
think of.
I was like, damn.
I didn't really
That's
have
horrid.
those kind of people at my middle school. I think my middle school was too white.
Yeah, valid. Valid. I don't know.
Yeah, it's again like what I was talking about. Like everyone's kind of like coming into like their age, right? Like you're starting to like the hormones start flowing. You're like everyone's feeling like weird things, and you know you're like still a kid, but you think you're an adult now. So it's all those kind of different things.
You think Blink-182 is the most profound band on planet Earth? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I personally will say that my music choice that I had in middle school, I'm like coming around to it again, you know? Everyone like infinite.
But do you think that's because you're feeling nostalgic when listening to it or because it's actually good?
Well, I think actually good is very subjective, right?
It's actually good.
I mean, listen, I think that everyone's going to hate on Nickelback, but it's not that bad of a band. Nickelback is not a bad band, and you can't tell me that it is. Because how are they this big and popular if they were a bad band? Exactly.
Look at this graph.
I don't know. I think, and the best part was that out of all the things I was self-conscious about in middle school, I wasn't self-conscious about my music choice. And I guess people would have made me feel that I should have been self-conscious about it because I'm talking like 3 Days Grace. I'm talking like Foo Fighters. I'm talking Nickelback. Like all of these like.
See, but I think our middle school was very like there was a group of kids that would like they were very much into that, but also adjacent. Like you you were into that, and then you were also into other things that were like gaming and like other things and within the avenue that was like, I guess, considered weird at the time, but like nowadays, like no one really cares, or like no one seems to care. And I think it's really sick that there's like a, like that kind of style of music is getting like a revival with like MGK, Olivia Rodrigo, and stuff like that. Like, I think that's the sickest thing ever. And I was like, I'm just kind of stoked that no one's getting bullied for shit like that, where it doesn't make like it doesn't entitle anyone to bully people for music choices of all things. Because I guess like back then it was like, if you weren't listening to Drake or Kanye or Rick Ross, you weren't it. Like, you were out of the game. You really just done so. But then I was like, I was listening to like Paramore and fucking Blink-182, My Chemical Romance, fucking, and yeah, I think I mean, I'm the one that stuck with it the most, I would say. But
yeah, I will say.
You never grew out of your middle school phase?
It's because it's not a phase, Mom. It's a lifestyle.
See, again, a perfect example of like it coming back, right? Like,
yeah,
these
like
new trends now,
like these new TikTok
TikToks,
trends,
right?
Yeah, like I never would have thought that I would ever hear songs like Dear Maria or fucking I'm Just a Kid on TikTok. Like,
yeah.
I never would have thought that in my life. And I think it's so cool that like a new generation of kids are like, I listened to this back then, and now you guys are listening to it for the first time. And it's kind of like a very like surreal thing for me to think about, where it's like, like your first time listening to this stuff or being exposed to this stuff is just going to be just as amazing, if not better than what I had, because now there's more accessibility, I guess, to it. Like before, you'd have to like, you hit up the LimeWire, you hit up the Pirate Bay.
Oh yeah.
Pray to God you don't get a virus.
No, you straight up sacrifice your computer. Like, you're gonna get that.
I sacrificed
song,
my computer.
But yeah, like, don't use your email on that computer ever again. It's never gonna be safe.
Exactly.
And we didn't even know, like, us as kids, right? Like on LimeWire and stuff like that. Like, I had my sister like do everything for me, but like, we didn't even know like how dangerous all that stuff was, and like our parents didn't know, our parents were just thinking like, yeah, they're just going on the computer and they're like listening to music or whatever, and then like as you get older, you realize like, oh, there's such a thing as like computer viruses, and this is how people get their identity taken, over a 3-minute Paramore song. I don't know if it was worth it, but I will say another thing, like that was like so taboo in middle school, and I was genuinely surprised when it like became a thing. And this is gonna sound so trivial now, but memes weren't a thing. Like when we went into middle school,
God, yeah,
that's, like,
I guess so,
memes were not like. I'm just gonna talk like. The only people that knew about memes, that looked at memes, were like nerdy kids that like were on the internet and stuff.
It's
like
the
that.
same. It's the same adjacent thing where like you listen to Nickelback, play video games, and look at memes on 4chan.
Right,
or whatever.
exactly.
But the memes at the times were like rage comics.
Yes,
right.
yes. They were like,
or just like a picture with a caption. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like
but it's that old style with like the top text, bottom text, and it's always the same picture.
And like
the
little
Velociraptor.
Yeah.
And so it was so amazing because I remember looking at all those and I was thinking like, all right, this is some dorky stuff that I'm looking at. And then it like actually became big, and like everyone looks at memes now. Like I remember when I like had my first girlfriend and I was able to talk to her about memes. I was like, I never thought that this was going to be a thing that I would be able to talk to somebody about. And not shame completely. So again, I think like a lot of that stuff has kind of been normalized. So much so to the fact that we're like, I honestly have no idea like what that new thing is to middle schoolers now, right?
Well, it's TikTok now.
But I feel TikTok's like huge. Like everyone's on TikTok. Like you got everyone from like little kids to like older adults. Everyone is on TikTok, looking at TikTok,
I suppose
doing this
so.
thing, So it's like, what's like the next thing? I don't know.
But that's the thing though, is like with like the next thing for middle schoolers now is it's always like a cycle, right? It's always like just a cycle of like, I guess going back to like the whole emo pop punk revival where it's like this shit was cool 10 years ago, then it died down and now it's back. But it's the same thing that happened in the 90s where it was like grunge was sick and then grunge died down, and then in the mid 2000s pop punk came back up. So it's kind of like a thing where it's like it dies down because I guess the people that are growing up or the people that are listening to it at the time are like, I guess, fizzling out or like growing out of it. But then a few years go by, then new kids show up and they're like, wow, this shit is sick. I love this. Now I'm going to make this.
Right.
And so it's just a constant cycle of like, you know, just, I guess, recycled or reused content. So like the same way where it's like the Irma Gerd stuff or like all that other stuff. Oh, yeah. And it was like, so that was us. We've fizzled out and have gotten older and we're done. Well, not done, but like memes have like pretty much become its own thing now with TikTok. So it's like, I could easily say like between 2013 and 2014, it's like fizzled down. And then when TikTok and Vine showed up, it was like a whole other thing.
But the interesting thing that I've been thinking about recently is that like, because we were alive when memes were born, right?
Yeah.
So, and even nowadays when you hear like a very famous Vine clip, right?
Right.
You know exactly what it's referencing.
Escalera!
So, but the interesting thing is like 30...
One of the best, by the way. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you
30 years from now, you can watch that same Vine and it would still be funny, but people seeing it for the first time in like 30 years, like middle schoolers at that time, they're not going to understand it that much.
Right.
And so just that concept is super interesting to me, that we can look at a picture, like some meme, like, I don't know, remember the dancing sharks at the Super Bowl?
The left shark, the right shark.
Yeah. We can see that.
Right.
And we know all the context behind it. But for all these people looking at that same meme in 30 years, they're not going to know what that means.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the whole everything is a loop. Everything is just a cycle. History just repeats itself.
Everyone thinks they're different. Every generation thinks they're different.
You're
That's
not.
the thing. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're doing the same stuff our parents did. They're doing the same stuff that their parents did, just in different mediums and in different ways. But
exactly.
Can I just say Vine so much better than TikTok? Like, and this is where we get to the point where it's like, that's definitely the nostalgia talking, but
So the thing is that Vine had this very like,
it was new.
it was not only that, but
It was like 6
there
seconds.
was so
boom,
much content,
like barf
that
all
was-
over the camera.
no,
That's it.
Not even. It was like there were so many funny bits that were put into 6 seconds.
Yeah.
That was just like, you know, overwhelming. Like a bunch of influencers got fucking famous off that. Fucking FouseyTube, goddamn King Batch, like all those guys got like super famous off of like these 7 second, 6 second clips, and I'm just like, fuck. Like they were, some of them were stupid creative too,
And really funny.
very funny.
But the
Really
thing
funny.
is,
and it didn't spy on you.
Vine had a specific style to it. So all the videos that were on Vine,
Right.
you kind of, there were those videos where the creator like made a skit or something, and you can kind of understand the structure of it. And then there's also the videos that's like, look at all those chickens.
yeah, exactly.
Just those standalone clips, right?
Right.
So those are the two types of things. But then on TikTok, you have all these other ways to make content. And like, yeah, there's some of like those two different styles on Vine on TikTok, but TikTok just allows for so much more creativity, I think. So that's why you have so much cringe as well on TikTok,
yeah.
because you have people doing all these different things.
And there's all like the filters and all the other
Yeah.
stuff that comes along with, like, Vine didn't have any of those kind
Vine
of features.
did. Vine
to
did.
them.
They did, but it
Not
was
to the
just-
level that TikTok
but not
has.
to the level TikTok did.
Like,
But
you
that was
couldn't
also
like put
because-
something on that like made you look bald. Like that.
Yeah,
that wasn't
no, but
something
that was like
that
yeah. I feel you.
you know. And so I think that's why it's like it's the same medium, but it's a completely different format, in my opinion. You know, and I just think like that. It's kind of like what made Twitter big too, right? It's like you got a certain number of characters, put whatever you want out there, but it's got to be this amount. you know?
It used to be 180, and then they bumped it up, I think, to like 260.
Yeah, because
And
people
I was like
having
very pissy
longer
about it.
opinions, I guess. I don't know.
But that's why they made Twit longer, man.
Yeah. So but see, like, that's the type of thing where it's like, and I think that's what the early-ish internet, you know, was really all about, was kind of like, let's condense things into a little format that you can just like beam right into your eye sockets and like enjoy,
Just a
you know?
bite-sized thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like bite-sized information. And I think like to this day, like us as people, and especially us as like we've gotten more accustomed to the internet and reliant on it, we really like those just short bursts of like, that's funny. Next one. You know, we don't want to get too invested in it. We don't want to read a novel.
That's
we don't want
what
to
makes
you know,
TikTok so dangerous.
always horrible. And we're on a completely different topic than middle school right now, but it's like it would be amazing.
I mean, not really, no, because I'd say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when TikTok like first was popular, to us, we viewed it as that's some middle school cringe.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also all these memes where it's like me before COVID-19, TikTok is so cringe. Me during the pandemic and scrolling through TikTok. And I feel like that's what happened to me. Like I started using TikTok during the quarantine and like, yeah, now I'm on it every day.
It's fun. It's like, honestly, it's like,
Am I the only one here that doesn't use TikTok?
You used to.
you used to,
Yeah.
and then
No,
you were
yeah.
using, bootleg TikTok, which is YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the
Screw
same
that.
thing.
Yeah, no. I'm just so opposed to that whole kind of medium. It's funny, don't get me wrong. That's why I love you guys, because you guys can waste your life staring at the screen and you
Wear
just send
your
me
filter.
all the
We
best
send you the
bits.
good ones.
Right, yeah, you send me all the best bits, But I personally can't get over like the whole TikTok tracking thing, honestly. And like how addictive it is. I don't know how you guys feel, but sometimes you get sucked in that rabbit hole, and I would get sucked in, and it would be like an hour and a half after I wake up. Like I'm literally still like lying down in bed. I haven't even moved, and I've spent an hour and a half of my day scrolling into the void. And I would just all it takes is like 1 second to get out of it, and you're like, wow, like that was horrible.
But then there's also those TikToks that are like, you've been scrolling for quite a while. You should take a break.
Yeah.
Have you
and then
guys
you're
ever
just
gotten
like,
that? Yeah, I just swipe. I've only ever listened to him once. I'm like, okay, he's right. And I actually put my phone away. But 90% of the time, get out of here.
Yeah. And like the worst part about it, right, is like those TikToks, like TikTok knows, like, after a certain amount of people, when they watch this TikTok, they immediately close the app, right? So TikTok will say, let's not show this video as much, because that means that people are going to come off of our app when they watch this. So they just will not show it. Less and less people will get those kind of, hey, you should stop scrolling right now, And like, that's the whole thing about TikTok, is like, every second you spend watching a video is logged. Like every second everyone else spent watching that video is logged. And it's like, there's so much information on everybody. They just show you exactly what you want to see to get you sucked into their little app for as long as they can hold you for, until life tries to take you out of it,
And I love it.
Yeah.
It is good for an
mind
escape,
it.
I will say. It is also kind of eye-opening, because I will say that since it learns from what you watch, right? You will open up TikTok and it'll immediately know what you want to see. So if you open up TikTok and you see something there and you're like, why is it showing me this? That's you that basically trained the algorithm to say, hey, yeah, I like seeing this exact type of content, And it's kind of scary when you realize that like all your life is just like sports and video games and dumb skits and stuff like that. Like that's exactly what you want to see all the time.
Your Instagram For You page.
Yeah.
Like that's all you need to go on someone's phone to realize what kind of person they are.
Yeah.
Because
True.
literally that's like Instagram is saying, you are this kind of person. You like this, this, and this. That's it.
And the worst part is that they're right.
Yeah.
They're right.
like,
Like how often would you go on your like For You page and you would click on it and you're like, I don't like any of these things. Never. Maybe like when you first created your account, like, and they just throw like random stuff out there and see what sticks. But yeah, then they learn, and it's like that's kind of insane how they know all of this about me. And I don't know. Yeah. So that's why, kind of going back to middle school, that's why I think it's kind of dangerous. Like middle schoolers these days, like they're being tracked relentlessly, like from a young age. At least kind of like when we were in middle school, like I didn't have a smartphone until like the beginning of high school.
Yeah.
Same. So like that whole thing, like I was not accessing the internet at all unless I was at home and on the family computer.
I was accessing it on my Nintendo DSi on the internet browser app.
Oh my gosh.
Under the supervision of a parent.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember using the PSP browser once. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. You find all like the janky ways to access the internet. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, just seeing like that progression.
One thing that I wanted to discuss was during middle school, were there any like computer games, like online computer games that you guys played?
Buggy.
Mini clips, bro.
Buggy. Oh,
it was the mini clips.
It
was
the math games.
Coolmathgames.com.
Well, what about like the Club Penguins?
The Club Penguins, that was outside of school.
Were you into that?
I loved Club Penguins.
And
I was on Club Penguins so much.
Really?
I was on it. I think within the first 6 months, it was invented.
Wow, you're an early adopter.
Yeah.
My brother got his premium membership for Club Penguin. And we
It was
paid
like
$60 a year or $70 a year. And we stopped paying that membership maybe a year before he graduated high school because we forgot that we were paying it. And so we've been paying for Club Penguin Premium for about 6 or 7 years.
You were single-handedly like holding up the Club Penguin like company, and then you canceled, and they were like, "That's it, that's the last one," and they immediately started shutting down the servers.
But there was also like Webkins, Neopets.
Oh, you know which one I was in? This was
Pop Tropica.
I was on Wizard 101.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Wizard 101.
Wizards 101 was the shit. If you were not a death wizard, go fuck yourself.
No. I was a life wizard.
The death wizard was sick.
I was the heal bot before I even knew about what all that was about. But yeah, I played with another friend in middle school, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. I think there's like a lot of like negative connotation about like those early like
it's just
subscription.
It's a cool card game. It was like a It was a card game. Pretty much, essentially, it was a card game. But it was fun, and
you could play with your. The thing you could play with your friends. Yeah, you could play with your friends. It was like it was very family friendly.
It wasn't as convoluted as WoW was because I felt like you needed to whip out like 6 encyclopedias to play World of Warcraft, and it was like, I tried to get into it. Like when we were in middle school, I tried to get into World of Warcraft, but it was like so hard because it was just like there was so much to take in, and I think there was the Mists of Pandaria expansion came out, and I was like, damn, there's like 4 expansions too, and it's like $13 a month. I'm like, I'm gonna go bust if I decide to take this. So yeah, but
I think WoW definitely set the blueprint for a lot of those games though.
Yeah.
Right? Like WoW, like even if you never played WoW, you can appreciate that kind of set this this model for everyone else to be like, hey, there's this giant thing, and you can make guilds, and you can build your own class, and you could play online, and there's expansions and all this stuff, but I will agree with you, it was kind of insane. I had like 5 minutes where I was also like, hey, maybe let me start WoW, and then I watched like one really old YouTube video about it, and I was like, yeah,
it's an MMO, right?
Yeah.
I never got into MMOs except for Club Penguin. So.
That's valid.
Arguably one of the best MMOs of all time.
But
sled racing.
One major game, I don't know if it was just my middle school, but do you guys know Pokemon Crater?
The fuck is that?
I don't know what that is.
Well, it was basically like a Neopets version of Pokemon. So like you would literally go like it would be no moving things on the screen. It's literally just like, what do you do as your next move? You build your party and whatnot. And like in 4th grade, everyone was obsessed with this.
Really? Sounds fun.
4th or 5th, maybe 6th grade.
Pokemon
This is
Crazy.
all we did during school because it was very fine. Because it was
During school?
yeah, because there was a lot of text on screen, so it wouldn't look like you're actually playing a game.
Oh, really?
So,
That's interesting.
but
Oh, so it was pretty much Pokemon, but like a .txt file.
kind of like there would occasionally be like Pokemon sprites, but like there would be no moving parts, so you could play it and the teacher wouldn't really say anything. But the thing is, it was so popular that there was one incident where a kid didn't log out of his account, and one of my friends, he traded all of his good Pokemon to him.
Oh no.
Oh god.
And
he
like
told on
after
him?
that, parents got involved. They
Oh,
were
really?
calling. It's like, your son took my son's Pokemon, and the other's like, what is Pokemon?
Oh no. This is why we can't have nice things.
So like those are my major like middle school memories.
I will say, like, in the era of like middle school games, like, and I mentioned it before, the Dune Buggy game on Miniclip, legendary. I think that game is goated amongst Flash games just in general. And there's
R.I.P. Flash.
and RIP Flash, RIP Flash. HTML, you will never be Flash. You will never be Flash. Everyone has these memories of like playing Dune Buggy or pinball or whatever game you found on the middle school computer and playing it, and then the teacher coming by and like alt tabbing really quick, like just hoping
I did
that they
not
didn't
know
see
about
you.
alt tabbing when I was in middle school.
Oh, you're just like just click away really fast or whatever, you know. And like you're like staring at like the Microsoft Word document that's completely empty, just waiting for the teacher to walk behind you, and you either got away with it or you got caught bad. Like, I don't know if it was like just me, but when you got caught in like the computer class, like the teacher would like make a scene. Like he'd be like, "What's that?" Like, think you like did like download a virus or whatever on the computer, and you know, make you like open it up and like close it out or whatever, and then you would just be like, "Damn, I actually gotta like go on Wikipedia or whatever," you know, kind of BS after that. So I think that was kind of part of the fun of it too. And I think another thing that like, I don't know, do they still have computer labs in middle schools these days?
I feel like they do.
I
but
didn't have them.
I think they did. Well, I don't think so, but I don't know. Haven't talked to a middle schooler recently.
Yeah,
so
can't say
so
yeah.
couldn't really-
Speak to many middle
at this
schoolers.
point, they have iPads at school
Right,
and stuff.
exactly.
all of them
so,
have
like,
iPhones. All of
Yeah.
them have 12 million
Right.
followers on TikTok.
Exactly. So that's another thing. Like it's nothing special, right? Like
Yeah.
you could just play. I was gonna say Subway Surfers. That's an old freaking game as well. You could just play whatever app game you want on your
Literally.
phone. You know. Yeah, I remember Fruit Ninja,
Fruit Ninja was,
That was
goated.
Temple Run.
Temple Run,
Tap,
Subway
Tap, Revenge.
Surfers,
Cut the Rope.
Cut the Rope.
Where's my water?
Where's my water? I love all those games. Those were kind of like
Doodle Jump.
You can still
Doodle
get-
Jump.
you can still
Doodle
get all of
Jump.
them. You can still get them at the App Store. They're still. I think they're still.
Yeah, and like that. Honestly, that's the like one of the amazing parts about like having like the beginnings of this technology like being available to us as we were growing up is like all of this like nostalgia value is so easily accessible, right? Like you want to play an old video game or you want to watch an old TV show or even watch like a old sport event or something like that. Just like watch highlights from like the last time the Giants won the Super Bowl. Sad. We're getting it this year. You know, it's like it's so easily accessible to kind of hop onto all those things, you know, which I think is really awesome and really cool, you know. But yeah, middle school.
Wow, what a nice
Little blast from the past. No,
Yeah, I think that's a nice place to wrap up.
that's a good spot to wrap up.
So how was that for your first podcast, Nick?
It was good. I think we had a good topic to talk about. That's key on doing a good podcast. So
Andy will take a picture of this, but we had a timer set on my phone, and 2 minutes in, it fell.
It didn't just
And then
fall.
the screen locked.
The screen locked. So
and then you got a text and I was like, oh, is it back up? Nah, that's just his wallpaper.
because we're trying to keep these podcasts around like 20 minutes or so. I feel like we went over 20 minutes.
Oh, easily.
Take your bets. How long you think this one is?
26.
Like 20 No, like 25.
25.
I hope it's not 30 minutes.
26 and a half.
Because
Yeah, I think we're up to like
if it's like 30
29
minutes, that's more editing for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
true. All right. Well,
But yeah,
Andy will put who was the closest in their guess.
Yeah.
But
thank you for watching. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube. We have an Instagram page. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, right?
and you see us again real soon, yeah?
We're gonna record another episode. We're gonna record another episode right after
words
this.
are hard, ladies and gentlemen.
See ya.
We'll see you later.
Bye.